Hey guys, welcome back to the page. Welcome back to the channel. Tonight I want to do a quick tutorial and a breakdown on how to set up the SSC Design LVLP spray gun. So what I'll do is I'll bring you to the chalkboard and I'll write the settings down first and explain it. Then I'll pick up the gun, show you how to adjust the settings, spray it out, and what the fan pattern should look like. So there are a couple things about the gun. I'm a firm believer in spraying with the gun what they call fully open. So that means opening the fan fully up, opening the fluid all the way up, and then adjusting my air pressure from there. So in dealing with this gun, the LVLP gun, when it comes to setting my fluid, um, we like to go all the way open. And basically what that means with this gun is taking the fluid knob, turning it all the way out, squeezing and holding the trigger, and then turn it in until it pushes out against the fingertips. So on the fluid, we will go completely open on the fluid. And then on the fan, I'm a huge fan of, even though everybody says they go complete full open fan, I don't like a wide open fan because I feel like I start to get splatter along the outside edges. So if this is an open fan right here, it gets a little dotty out here. So I believe in taking that fan and bring it in just a little bit to kind of tighten everything up right here. And I just feel like I get a much better fan. So on my fan, I like to come in 2 turns on the fan as well. And that just takes this fan and brings it in just a little bit to clean up these outer edges. So you get a much cleaner fan and spray, especially when you start making your overlaps. So on my fan, I'm going about 2 turns in. Some people say 1.5, 1.25. I've just found better on that my SSC Design or Side Street Customs LVLP spray gun. 2 turns on the fan, 2 turns on the fluid roughly is ideal setup for the gun. I've also found that the sweet spot for spraying with this gun is at about 20 psi. That's on my base and clear. So 20 psi is what we're looking at on our base and our clear. Now primers are a little bit different. High build primers are a little bit different. I actually drop it down lower than that, and I bring the fan in a lot more because I want to spray a really wet high build, and I want to let it build thick. So we'll get into a primers in another video. I'm getting ready to spray some high build soon, so I'll take you out for that. But what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna get ready to put you on pause. I'm gonna show you how I set it up at this 20 psi, what my 2 turns are on the fan, and what my 2 turns are on the fluid, which is considered a fully open fluid. So let me put you on pause for a second. I'll grab the paint gun and then we'll go through this setup. Gun. This is your fan. This is your fluid. This is a built-in air regulator. We always want to keep this open. Every paint gun comes with them. We definitely keep it open. I suggest using an external regulator, digital or manual. So I like to first take everything. Let me turn them open so we can set them up right quick. Open up the fan now, getting open. The bottom one is the fluid. So basically what we'll do when setting up this gun or any basic gun, when we're talking about using a full fluid or open fluid trigger, what we want to do is grab the gun, squeeze in on the trigger. Once we squeeze on the trigger, we want to begin turning the knob clockwise until we feel that trigger push out on our fingers. There we go, we felt it. Now I'm going to do a little bit lighter, couple turns in, and as soon as you feel it push out against your fingers or stop, that's when you stop. Now we have the gun set for complete open fluid. Now when we go to the fan, my gun's numbered, some guns aren't. So basically I'll make 1 full turn to get it around the 1. That's 1 turn. I'll make another full and complete turn to get it around a 2. That's 2 turns in on the fan. What that does is bring that fan in just a little bit to clean up those outer edges and give you a much cleaner pattern that doesn't kind of distort or break up towards the end. Not every gun's the same, but these are the basic settings on the gun, which I'll set at 20 psi. And even when you set it, you always want to set your trigger at a half squeeze so you can see where your air is when you squeeze the trigger. So let me plug it up right quick and put some air to it, and I'll show you how to set the air on your gun, and then I'll put some fluid in it and we'll spray on the wall and see if we can get that nice cigar shake that's nice and clean and even all the way through. Let me grab some air. All right, so here we've got our air regulator. I'm not sure if you can see it, and it's reading 74 pounds of air. So even though my air compressor runs at about 150, 175, I got my regulator on the wall set at 74. I don't want to be throwing all that air in my gun trying to regulate it right here. So I bump it down a step before I get here. Plus this stops my compressor from having to go do a full duty cycle. I always run it at about half capacity, so I've always kind of got a reserve sitting there. So now we're sitting at 74. So what I'll do is I'll make about a half squeeze, and it drops me down to 20 psi. So now at a half squeeze, no fluid comes out. That's a full. That's a half. So now you see we're sitting at about 20 psi, which it's actually about 25. This gun sweet spot is 20. There we go. So now we're set at about 20 psi. We have 2 turns in on the fan. We've got roughly 2 turns in on the fluid, or basically squeezing the trigger and turning until you feel it push out against your fingers. Now I'm going to throw some fluid in it right quick, and then this time I'm actually using alcohol because it dries really fast on this paper, and we can get a good view of it. So what we want to do is we want to hold it and give it a quick squeeze for a couple of seconds, about 5 to 6 inches away, and let's see what kind of fan pattern we get. And it's going to take a couple of seconds to dry. I'll spray out a couple more. All right, so now as you can see, we've got a really even size spray right here. We don't have skinny at the top, or we don't have skinny at the bottom. We pretty much got the same shape, and I always say it should look like a cigar. I don't know if you've ever smoked cigars, looked at a cigar, especially a hand-rolled cigar. This is a general shape that you're looking for. Nice, kind of rounded on the top, not too pointy. Same fan, it doesn't get skinny. It's not blotchy in the middle. It's got the same consistency all the way through. And at this point, this gun, beautiful pattern right there. It will spray great for you. It's pretty simple. And if you hadn't noticed, this gun actually has a huge, huge fan. Sprays really, really well. I'll grab a tape measure right quick just to give you a glimpse of how big the fan is on this gun and for it to spray so well. So if I come in on this one, so if I go my top and bottom, I'm looking at a 12-inch fan pattern right there. Moving back a little bit, if I go here, I'm looking at, 13, 14 inches of fan pattern. So this gun has a huge fan and sprays super, super well. So once again, just following up, pretty much on paint gun setup, almost any gun, but specifically for this gun, we've got fluid, 2 turns, or complete full open. Fan, we're 2 turns in, like I said before on the chalkboard, we bring it in just a little bit to clean up the edges. And we've got our pressure set at 20 psi, and this dries. This is a beautiful fan pattern, ready to spray really even, consistent patterns without having blotches and gaps in it. So when you get your 50%, 75% overlay, you'll have a really, really nice fan pattern and you'll get great coverage. So these are the basics of setting up a paint gun. If you like this video, subscribe, follow, share, save it, share with your friends. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and I'll be happy to answer those questions for you. Thanks a lot.